Hello everybody, Domstock01, Rowan Victory here, and yes, I'm aware, I'm a few days late to this, but it's better late than never. And for those who don't understand what I'm doing here, I'm basically talking about the new Schleich figures, well, models, which have been revealed. And I'm aware it's been a while since I've actually covered actual models, but that's mainly because I barely buy any. But I believe I just spare your expenses. That didn't even make sense. And cut straight to the chase. I'll start off with my least favorite figure and go towards my favorite. So here we have, in my opinion, the worst figure out of Schleich coming next year. The Mosasaurus. And what the hell am I looking at? I'll fully admit, I mainly know Mosasaurus. When I think of Mosasaurus, I think of one from Jurassic World. But apparently, this is actually fairly accurate. But what the fuck am I looking at? I don't care if this is scientifically accurate. I just want a good figure. What is going on here? What's up with the mold? What's up with positioning of the tail? What's going on here? However, in the figure's defense, I will say I do really like the colors on it. I personally really like the cyan turquoise blue that I went for, along with the slightly faded white stripes. I think it probably would have been better if they got rid of white stripes and just had the top of the body that blue. Or is that green? I quite honestly can't tell. But apart from that, I don't know what's wrong with this figure. Just something about it really puts me off it. So I think it's pretty safe to say that I won't be picking this figure up next year. And then we have our next figure, the Stygimoloch, I believe. I believe this is a Stygimoloch. Or is this a Packy? Nah, I don't think the head bump is prominent enough to be the Packy, so it's probably a Stygi. But I was arguing in my mind whether this thing should be lower or higher than the next figure. But I decided this one should be lower because it is pretty much just the Dracorex, which, keep in mind, I actually think isn't that bad of a figure. I just really haven't been bothered to pick it up. This figure is pretty much the Dracorex with a different head. Out of everything that Safari has released, well, that they're going to release next year, this is probably their laziest one. Because literally all they did was replace its head and gave it slightly worse colorings. Whose idea was it to use this mustard yellow on it? Whose idea was this? However, I will say, it does seem to have some of the good merits of the Dracorex, because just look at all the detail that's packed into it. I like that. But besides that, there's nothing really that much to say here. It's just a remold of the Dracorex. That's it. But now we're going into slightly better waters with the Brontosaurus. I almost said Apatosaurus. I'll explain why later. But I don't mind the look of this figure. However, this looks, from what I can tell, identical, nearly identical to the Apatosaurus from Jurassic World, just with some blue paint slapped onto it to avoid a lawsuit. but it doesn't look that half bad. The sculpt is detailed as always because yes, even though Schleich isn't the best, they still deliver detailed models. Now, I do believe that the colors are a bit dull, but I actually do like the blue that they put on it. Actually, this is going to sound weird here, but with the blue on it, it kind of looks like the bioluminescent Procerophyses from Cretaceous. Just let me explain myself. If there was a bioluminescent Apatosaurus in Jurassic World, it would probably look like this. But I actually have very few complaints with this figure. The neck is a bit short, but that could be just because of the angle that the photo was taken at. But I don't think it's that half bad. But I might pick this figure up. It really depends on what mood I'm in. Now we have the Ceratosaurus. And once again, I don't mind it. However, I will say I don't like the fact that it's a tripod figure. And for those who don't know, a tripod figure is basically where you need 3 parts on the ground in order to balance it, which is normally the tail, and which is obviously what's happened in this situation. But I don't mind it here. I really like the paint. For some reason, looking at it, it really gives me like... It looks like a cheetah to me. It really just looks like it would blend into the savannah. And I actually really like the red on it. I really like the red surrounding the eyes and on the crests. And while on about the crests, can somebody please explain to me what on earth is going on with them? Correct me if I'm wrong here, but to me it looks like one of them is in some sort of... one of them is roughly in the right place. One of them is at the front, but for some reason, one on its right it seems to be nearly equal to the one that's on the front of its snout. I will say, if the actual figure has this, and if I'm not just looking at it wrong, I will not be buying this if it has that problem. Like, how on earth do you mess up the Ceratosaurus' head? But that would be such a big mistake that I'm going to presume it's an accident or something wrong with the framing of this photo. But besides that, I don't mind it. I really like the black spots that go down the body. My main complaint about them is that they stop right before the knee. That is really my only complaint with the paint. But overall, I don't mind it. If that head isn't actually messed up, then I might end up getting this one. Because at the moment, I only have one Ceratosaurus in my collection, which is the Papal one, which, in my opinion, is the best Ceratosaurus ever made. But this figure isn't better than it, but it's still a decent figure in my opinion. And now we have the best model in the whole entire line. The Caprosuchus. The Caprosuchus. It seems like every single year, Schleich releases one really good figure. This year, it was the Stygimoloch. The year before, it was the Spinosaurus. And I believe the year before the Spinosaurus, it might have been the Triceratops. But besides that, I really like the look of this figure. It looks like a real crocodilian. I don't have the Caprosuchus, so I can't compare the images here to that. However, I do have the Safari Caprosuchus, and for years that has been my favourite and my only Caprosuchus. And I believe this is better than the Safari one. I really like the detail on it, especially on the tail. And once again, it makes it look like a real crocodilian. I really like the earthy colours with the brown, the black, and the yellow, I believe. You could believe that this is a real crocodilian living in living in the environment of a Caprosuchus. I don't know where Caprosuchus lives, in a swamp. Oh no, it's Shrek as far as I know.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me.
But besides that, I really like the look of this figure. And out of all the Schleich figures that have been revealed so far, that are coming out next year, this will be the one which I know I'll get. So, overall, next year doesn't seem like it's gonna be that bad for Schleich. Like, yeah, they have some drowsies, especially that Mosasaurus, since they shrink-wrapped the skeleton and completely disregarded any fat or blubber the actual creature would have had. Anyways, ignoring that, it doesn't seem to be that bad of a year for Schleich. Like, yeah, the Brontosaurus isn't the best, and I really hope that isn't. I really hope this whatever they did on the Ceratosaurus is a mistake. But besides that, next year seems like it's gonna be fine. Like, yeah, they have some drowsies, but it's not the worst that Schleich has made. So, I believe this is all I have to say. So here is Dumpsack 01, Roar to Victory. Wow.